Welcome to the Health on Track podcast. Let's talk well-being.
Welcome to the Health on Track podcast, offering you a shot of wellness. I'm Yasmin, and I'm the Member Engagement and Communications Manager at GIG Gulf. Setting and achieving goals is easier said than done. Sometimes you don't even know what your goals are, and you're just going with the flow. Maybe your goals are set for you by the society you live in or by certain cultural expectations, which impacts us whether we like it or not. We are here today with Neus Ventura, a life coach with more than 8 years of experience. She's a subconscious mind expert and meditation teacher. Thank you for being here with us, Neus.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you went through your own healing journey, and then you shifted your career from being an architect to a life coach. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, definitely. So I was really in stress mode. I completely forgot what it felt like to treat myself properly. So work pushed me through stress mode on, and I started developing headaches, insomnia, migraines. So it was really uncomfortable, and I really needed to feel well with my health again. So that was just the beginning point of learning how to meditate and understanding more about stress.
So how can meditation help in regulating stress?
Meditation is actually great, but it feels scary when you start meditating. Because when you feel stress, maybe the last thing you want to do is to sit down with your mind full of things that doesn't make any sense at all. But actually, when you start practicing, you understand a little bit more of that build-up of layers. Sometimes those stressful situations are very much connected with situations that can be solved inside of ourselves. We have different perspectives of life, but then we start using stress as somehow like a mechanism to feel that we can cope with our day, when actually we can always cope with our day without building those barriers or those stressful thoughts in our mind. So when it comes to meditation, actually we can start a practice of understanding how are we feeling. And when we're busy, it really takes time and effort to sit down and say or ask to ourselves, how am I feeling, right? But if you take a little bit the time, you're going to start understanding and making sense of things that can be solved easily. So you don't need to build up into any headaches, into any tension in your body. So definitely meditation is a great tool, but maybe for other people, they just need to move their bodies. We're all different. But meditation is more about understanding what have you been building up and what it is time for you to let go. So you can have a new, fresh perspective of what is going on in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your mind.
Would you say that the subconscious mind plays a bigger role in these perceptions or how we process our feelings and our emotions?
Oh yeah, it really does actually. The subconscious mind is in between 90-95% of our mind. It is very different from our logic mind, our conscious mind, and definitely works through emotions attached to memories. So in any experience that we have, we create a memory, and that memory is attached to an emotion, so to a belief system. So whatever has happened has a meaning and has power. And inside of our subconscious mind, we will create a pattern, a behavior. So when it comes to the subconscious, we really have to have a look into how it works, because emotions works in a very different ways that logic mind does. So for example, if I'm feeling stress and I go home and I feel frustrated, I'm not going to be kind. I'm not with myself. I'm not going to be kind with my partner. But if I understand why am I frustrated, if I meditate on that, if I find the reason, then I can cope with those frustrations rather than creating more stress. So sometimes frustration is a way that we reach a breaking point when we have to sit and bring a new perspective into a situation. So when we have a look into the subconscious, we're going to realize that the subconscious is always trying to help us, but does it through very negative emotions until we understand them. So we must understand all of our emotions, especially the negative ones, the ones that feel a little bit more heavy.
Yeah, but it's a bit hard. I mean, you're saying that because you're a life coach and you're trained, but how do we start to understand our subconscious?
Okay, simple ways that we can do every day. So sometimes, let's come back to that. I'm frustrated, right?
Okay.
So frustration usually is a way that we have to sit and find new answers to things that we're repeating.
Okay.
And frustration is very much connected with anger. When it comes to anger, our body creates all these hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, that are giving us the push. And we believe that that push is going to help us to reach and do everything that we must do that day. But in the other hand, frustration is actually telling us, can you just try to do things in a different way? Can you just be less harsh and more kind? Would you like to trust more on yourself, be more confident rather than harsh? Because anger and frustration, even though are powerful tools that will take you places that will push you farther, deep down are really messing with your hormonal health.
Okay.
So all of us, will really need to be more kind with ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's no argument there. We can afford to be a bit more kinder with ourselves and with the people around us.
Definitely.
Okay, so how can we understand ourselves even better to set the goals that we want in life?
That's a huge question, isn't it? Well,
Take your time.
definitely nobody has everything figured out.
Yeah.
And goals comes like life with chapters, right? Sometimes we have a goal in our 20s and we reach it before our 30s and then it doesn't make sense anymore. So there's not like a straight line in life, and there are many things that we cannot control, right? So when it comes to trying to set up a goal, we always have to leave space. And what I mean with this is trying to avoid controlling things, understanding really, being honest with ourselves, why we want to reach those goals. Sometimes those goals are empty.
Okay.
They look good, they sound good, but behind of them,
There's
what
no
is it?
fulfillment.
There it goes. And sometimes we're reaching for external recognition. So when it comes to goals, I will say just be honest with yourself, understand what really makes you feel passionate and joyful in life. Be brave to follow that feeling. Allow that to ground you and create daily habits to build up that feeling. And then life is going to bring you stuff to all of us, right? So you have to keep space. And what I mean with that is sometimes we have those big waves that we don't expect, but actually those are learning points. And with those lessons, we can really manage the understanding of what we're looking forward to experience. So definitely releasing control and understanding what makes you feel happy. As simple as that.
I really like what you said. You said life brings you stuff, so you need to leave space for it. I think that's a very nice way of putting it, that when you have all these certain goals, career goals, life goals, and maybe physical goals, and then after a while, it's like you find that you're missing opportunities maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, what happens is that we create these statements and we believe that things are a straight line, but life is not like that. Life is movement, it's organic, it's a wave, it's a frequency, right?
Yeah.
And life is not only what I put out there, it's also what it comes back to you. So definitely creating some space will allow you to understand how you are coping with external circumstances. Some people that comes as clients, they are very upset because they create these huge expectations and they fight for those goals, but actually they're missing the other half, what comes from outside. So if we use that life waves as a help to really build up of what's going on in our lives, we're going to really reach where we want to reach.
Yeah, I think that's maybe where a lot of people get stuck, that there's certain expectations or cultural norms that we have to stick by. So for women especially, that you have to get married by a certain age. You have to want to have kids. You have to want to have more than one kid. And you also have to be successful in your career. And you also have to take care of your body. And there's just all these expectations. And maybe that's not what I want. Maybe I don't want to get married. Maybe I'm just not ready for that yet.
That's true. And then again, we end up frustrated, right?
Yeah.
And we come back to that frustration. And then in that exchange, in that emotion, we should find answers, because there's always a different way to do things. But then we have to really stick with our hearts.
That's the challenge, isn't it?
Definitely. But if we're stressed, that's really impossible. It's really, really difficult. And again, talking about women, when women are reaching very high stress levels, cortisol is very high, and that hormone will create lots of issues, right?
Yeah.
So it's really, really good to come back and understand why is that happening.
Do you have maybe like an exercise or something that people can do so that they can just take a moment and know what culture norms they need to break free of, and then just know what their goals are? Like, this is what I want, not what society says that I should want.
There are many exercises actually to do that, but I will say that more than trying to break from things, I would try to put the understanding of vision. You know, sometimes we understand just a piece of a wheel, but we have to understand that we are the whole wheel and that we can explore the other pieces of the wheel. So sometimes we think, I have to break something to experience something else, but it's never like that. You always have the ability to explore something else without feeling that you have to break. Yeah, sometimes we get lost into those fights that really not taking us anywhere. It's more about understanding that there are choices that we can choose, and sometimes it's easier without the fight.
Yeah, I think that takes us back to that frustration and anger part. It's like, no, I don't want to do this, and you're just breaking out of something. But maybe, yes, it's about in a more calm way than just accepting that, okay, this is not my choice, this is my choice. I'd rather be on this path than this path.
But you know what happens unconsciously? Everyone wants to belong.
Yeah.
So sometimes, many of us, we can feel like, if I do this, maybe someone is going to say that. So we stick into something that makes sense to avoid judgment and to feel supported. But again, that's also belief systems.
Yeah.
We are supported, we belong, we are who we are, and we can also explore. So again, it's about choices without creating fights. It's about understanding freedom and free will without fighting for it.
I think also a lot of people are maybe afraid of failure. So let's say I choose a different path and then I set a certain goal for myself, but after a while I find that I didn't achieve that goal. So then you're like, okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have just stuck with the original path and I shouldn't have done that.
Then we're talking about regret here. But failure, honestly, when you look at it, it's never such a thing as failure.
Okay.
It's always about learning. I think we're all curious in general. Some people really like to feel safe, we all do, right?
Yeah.
But then when it comes to the idea of failure, there's no such a thing. It's about exploring. It's about learning. It's about sometimes just getting out and see what's going on around. Sometimes it's about traveling. Sometimes it's about setting up a new business. So in that learning process, we understand so many things. There's no such thing as failure. But we judge ourselves. And then when we try to choose the right thing and then the wrong thing happens, then that gap in between creates the failure situation. But there's no such a thing as failure, because from that thing that we thought it was right to choose, but it didn't went right and it felt wrong, then we have huge opportunity to understand what to do next. Huge opportunity to see how we feel and how we will react later on. So let's be less judgmental, more open to learn and have an experience through that learning. From those lessons, we can really make choices and changes without feeling regretful, actually.
Takes us back to what you said at the beginning, though, that we need to be kinder with ourselves. Stop judging
Wouldn't
ourselves.
be easier, right?
Yeah. Okay, so it's 2024.
Yes.
Everybody's now setting resolutions. And I think this a lot of people maybe try to overachieve. So I'm gonna learn a new language, I'm gonna travel, I'm gonna go to the gym every day, I'm gonna do all these amazing things. And then after a while, it's like you don't have the energy or you don't have the motivation to follow through. So what would be your advice for people while they're setting their goals and something to help them follow through?
Yeah. Again, those high expectations. We want to be better. We want to do better.
Best. We want to be the best.
Great. We should use that energy, that push that a new year feels like. But something as simple as this, what would you like to let go? And what would you like to bring in?
Prioritize
As
them.
simple as that. And then I would suggest to start in a small amount of time every day to create your own kind of routine. Stop creating these big projects that are not really taking you where you want to be. You're going to end up feeling more frustrated. It's better to be grounded, relatable, and honest with yourself. So ask yourself what you want to let go, what you want to bring in. Yeah, so that could be an emotion. I want to let go of my grief, of my sadness, of my stress. Great. What do you want to bring in? I want to experience more joy. And then from that statement, you have to find your own ways. Maybe find someone that inspires you, but never copy or follow a whole routine from somebody else's. Always create your own one. Be able to connect with yourself and create every day a little bit of time to move your body, to learn to breathe, to meditate. Maybe you want to sing, maybe you want to play golf, I don't know. Find whatever makes you happy and stick into that. Because once you learn to disconnect from stress, your body is going to feel better. And when you feel better, you have more clarity. When you make decisions from clarity, you're going to stick up and you're going to make your routine a way of living. And then you're going to be in that healthy mode on. And from then, you're going to feel confident. You're going to accept yourself more. You're going to give yourself opportunities to do things that you never did before. So everything starts within ourselves.
Okay.
So if I feel healthier and happier, and I take care of myself, suddenly my life is not revolving only towards work or stress that comes from outside. It brings my inside relating with all these things. And then that inside becomes stronger. I'm happier. I know that now I have to do work, but I'm not going to go and feel frustrated again. Because I know that once I'm back home or once I have more time, I'm going to keep creating that healthy feeling within myself, doing what makes me feel good, without pushing myself, without being harsh, and without creating those huge expectations. It's about simple and daily.
Okay. Simple and consistent.
Yes.
Small goals,
Yes.
baby steps, something that can easily be integrated in your day, and just taking it one step at a time then.
Definitely.
So let's not go to the gym every day. Let's just start by once per week or something.
Exactly. But then maybe you want to have a walk rather than meeting someone for a coffee.
Yeah.
Enjoy the weather, go for a long walk, and suddenly you can meet someone and do some exercise at the same time. So always surround yourself by people that is doing already what you want to. So you can feel like that is very natural, normal. It will come as simple as that.
And then you also feel like you belong, so that if you're just now you're doing what you want, and you're also belonging to a group of people or a community that share certain goals with you.
That's true. There you have it.
Yeah, amazing advice. Any other tips you have for us, or advice on how people can just generally be less stressed and more fulfilled?
That's a huge question, and I love it. Okay, so definitely, as we were talking before, everything starts with ourselves. When we wake up, we have this push, especially, again, created by hormones. It's very different between man and woman, but doesn't mind, let's not go there right now.
Okay.
But I would say that if there is something that is really making you feel passionate about life, please listen to it. Please take the time to understand how you can create that, how you can bring that into your life. Never push it for later. Again, take some time every day. Why is that so important to you? Because everyone's got this genuine energy. Everyone's got this authentic energy, I would say, or authentic things to share with others. Sometimes we take them for granted. And we have to come back and find them again because those things maybe make us very happy. And those maybe are things that we did when we were kids.
Yeah.
So I would say find something that made you very happy when you were a kid and try to bring that into your daily routine and see if that creates joy and passion. Because sometimes from those things that we just took for granted in the past, we can create huge businesses and huge, impact around us. So listen to yourself. Listen what makes you happy and use that to feel healthy, to feel happy and reach other people around you. Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. I mean, now that you said childhood memories, I remembered rollerblading. I used to really enjoy rollerblading as a child, and now I'm thinking like, okay, maybe I can go buy a set of rollerblades and just go to some park or something. But I'm probably gonna fall down a lot, but oh well. Still fun.
I have to confess something then. That was one of my favorite things to do. I used to rollerblade as well.
Yeah?
Yeah, so that's...
So much fun, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It brings joy.
It does.
It's something about movement.
Especially when the weather is really good or you're in a park or something. It's just very, I don't know, very cheerful somehow.
Very enjoyable.
Yes. Thank you so much, Neus, for being with us today. That was very enlightening.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
In our upcoming episode, we're celebrating Valentine's Day in our own way. We'll be discussing communication in relationships. Make sure to tune in. We're available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Anrami. Stay well and keep thriving.